Nier Automata is beautiful. It's more than just a game or an anime. It's a story that pushes the boundaries of what a narrative can be. It offers moments of beauty amid the chaos and pain of life. This idea is woven not only into the narrative, but into every fiber of its creation. Its soundtrack embodies this very notion, with the main theme itself titled Rays of Light. And that's exactly what this story represents. In a world ravaged by war, death, and destruction, where the cycle of violence seems never ending, this anime doesn't shy away from exploring the harshest realities of existence. Yet in deconstructing these concepts, it reveals something deeper. It forces us to ask ourselves, what are we willing to die for? And more importantly, what are we willing to live for? Amid chaos and despair, there is still beauty. There are moments of wonder, of hope, and of the best that people, and maybe even machines, can offer. The story challenges us on what it means to be human, to be alive. Is the line between machine and man just a matter of technicality? Or is there something more? Can a machine have a soul? Can an android understand love, loss, and sacrifice? This world confronts us with the full spectrum of life's experiences, the joys and triumphs, but also the pain and suffering that come with living, thinking, and dreaming. Nier Automata stays with us because it shows us the beauty of life. Even when it seems fleeting or fragile, it shows the fragility and resilience of existence. It reminds us that even from tragedy, beauty can still emerge. It is this paradox, this balance between light and dark, that makes this story so unforgettable. Its characters, world, and music leaves us questioning the nature of our own humanity, while at the same time, it inspires us to find meaning. Why does 9S mean so much to us? Because he is one of the few rays of light in this world, a world where everything, especially within Yora, is cold, calculating, and unfeeling. Yora is a military organization entirely focused on its mission, the glory of mankind. The androids within it are not meant to feel. They are programmed to follow their directives without question, without emotion. As 2B often reminds us, emotions are prohibited. They are tools, nothing more, meant to pave the way for the true conscious beings, humanity. It's their purpose, their only reason for existence. They weren't meant to shine on their own. So why then is 9S so human? From the very beginning, 9S stands out from the other Yora units. He's curious, friendly, and emotional in a way that seems at odds with his programming. He wasn't designed to be a source of light, and yet somehow he became one. We're never given a full explanation for this. The only thing we're told is that he's more highly functional than any other android. But something about that functionality allowed him to break free from the emotional restrictions that bind the rest of Yora. In doing so, 9S embodies something far greater, the beauty of humanity, in a world where humanity has long been extinct. 9S is joyful in a way that feels almost childlike, a playful spark in a world dominated by death and destruction. Where 2B is serious, focused solely on the mission, 9S is the one to notice the small wonders around them, the one to remind her, and us, that there is beauty in this broken world. He is her opposite in almost every way. Where she is the moon, he is the sun. She is silent and reserved, while he is loud and full of life. She is calm and composed. He is energetic, bursting with jubilation. She embodies the shadow, and he brings the light. The dynamic between 9S and 2B is what makes them so interesting and tragic. 9S continues to see the world not just for its harshness, but for its possibilities. And that's what makes his eventual fall into despair so heartbreaking. Because for all his brightness, all his joy, 9S cannot escape the horrors of the world he lives in. He suffers, and ultimately, he succumbs to the same darkness that surrounds him. His light is snuffed out, not because he was weak, but because even the brightest lights can only burn for so long, in a world as bleak as this one. And that's why 9S is such a vital part of this story. He represents what humanity could be: the joy, the playfulness, the curiosity, the capacity for love and connection. But he also represents the tragedy of that potential being destroyed by the very world that he tries to find beauty in. His journey is a reminder that even in the darkest places, light can still exist. It is also a reminder that light is fragile, that sometimes, no matter how hard we try to protect it, it can still be lost. In the end, 9S shows us both the beauty and the tragedy of being human. The most beautiful visual aspect of Nier is the overgrown fallen world of Earth. It's long after the extinction of humanity, and the planet has transformed in a way that is both haunting and awe-inspiring. Cities have crumbled, leaving behind ruins that nature has reclaimed. Skyscrapers are now draped in vines, and forests creep through the cracks of old highways. The places where people once lived have been taken away by the natural world. But what's incredible about this destruction is how life has found a way to bloom again. In the city ruins, resistance camp, amusement park, forest kingdom, and flooded city, we see nature's resilience on full display. The extinction of humanity has brought with it a profound loneliness, a sense of emptiness. Yet, at the same time, this loneliness is juxtaposed with an unexpected peace, a peace that maybe never could have existed while humans were still alive. The earth has reclaimed its beauty in their absence, and it feels as if the world itself is resting. The city ruins is one of the best examples of this duality. The city is now completely overtaken by trees and branches that weave their way through shattered windows and cracked pavement. Crystal streams flow through the ruins, cutting through the remnants of what was once humanity's greatest achievement. And while the city is dead, the world around it is alive in ways it wasn't before. Birds soar freely through the sky, and insects go about their business, indifferent to the ruins below them. Even though humans are gone, life endures. But the beauty of Nier's world isn't just in its depiction of nature reclaiming the earth. It's in the way robots too have tried to preserve something of the human spirit. The amusement park, for example, is a place of strange and beautiful energy. The decaying architecture may be falling apart, but the robots there have kept the place alive with fireworks, lights, and music. They walk around in colorful costumes, trying to bring joy in a world that has forgotten what joy is. It's almost tragic, the way these machines who never knew humanity are so desperate to recreate something they never experienced. Yet it's beautiful in its own right. The Forest Kingdom, on the other hand, is more serene, filled with towering trees, ancient wooden bridges, and waterfalls crashing in the distance. It feels timeless, as if nature itself has been waiting for this moment, for the world to return to a simpler, quieter state. The flooded city, with its shimmering waters and abandoned skyscrapers, is just as haunting and as beautiful. The water has washed away most traces of human life, leaving behind a glittering landscape where the past is submerged beneath the surface. Each location shows us a story of both beauty and decay, of life finding its way even in a world where humanity no longer exists. It's this haunting, bittersweet atmosphere that makes the environment feel like a character in its own right. The world is alive, but it's marked by a loss. It creates a sense of nostalgia for a time that none of the characters, not even the robots, can remember. This world reminds us that while humanity is gone, the Earth continues. It has returned to a state of quiet beauty, where nature and machines now coexist, and where the memory of human life lingers in the cracks of crumbling buildings and in the sparks of amusement park rides that once brought joy to people. The shopping center is one of the most poignant locations for the audience, not because everyone has been to a mall or shopping center in their lives, but because of what this place once represented. A shopping center is a hub of human interaction, a place where people from all walks of life gathered to shop, meet friends, and spend time with family. It was a space of connection, where individuals came together of their own free will to enjoy a shared experience. Now, in this fallen world, the shopping center lies in ruins, its marble floors overtaken by grass, vines creeping through shattered windows, and trees growing right through the glass ceiling reaching for the sunlight. What was once a symbol of human togetherness is now a reminder of something that's gone. This location, more than most, resonates with the audience because of its familiarity. It's a place that feels close to home, something we can all recognize. The beauty of the sunlight filtering through the broken glass and the greenery overtaking the structure contrasts with the sadness of its emptiness. The world has moved on, leaving behind only memories of what once was. Then we're introduced to Pascal's village, which contrasts with the rest of the fallen human world. Here, a group of machines have rejected their original purpose of war and violence to create something entirely new. A peaceful, self-sustaining community built around a towering tree. The village itself is a blend of natural and artificial, with wood, metal, and scrap materials all woven together into a sprawling treehouse. Ladders, bridges, and ropes connect the different levels, creating a sense of interconnectedness that reflects the village's philosophy of unity. These machines wave their white flags, signaling to all who enter that they've chosen a different path. They no longer live for war, but for something else. Pascal's village is significant because it represents the machine's desire to break free from the constraints of their programming. They want to be more than the tools they were created to be. They want to define their own existence. Pascal's village stands as one of the first instances in the story where machines come together organically, not under a directive, but of their own free will. Just outside Pascal's village lies a canyon, leading to a small underground cavern. Within this cavern, something mystical resides, a strange, overgrown face. The face of a meal, shrouded by a massive tree. A single ray of light pierces the darkness, illuminating the face and creating an almost sacred atmosphere. This chamber feels otherworldly. There's an eerie quality to it, as though it holds secrets long forgotten. But there's also a strange sense of hope. The light shining on Emil's face suggests that the past isn't completely lost. Nines finds this face curious and attempts to hack into it, and we're shown glimpses of Nier's past, revealing characters and moments from earlier parts in the series. It shows us that the present is always connected to the past. Even if no one remembers, what came before has shaped what is now. The Forest Kingdom is a sprawling expanse of natural beauty, combined with the crumbling remnants of a forgotten era. It's a land of grassy fields framed by jagged rocky cliffs, towering trees offering shade over an ancient stone bridge, and waterfalls cascading through the ruins of brick walls and pillars. This place was once a kingdom, but thousands of years have worn it down. The decayed robots littered through the kingdom show us of long-forgotten wars or battles, But none of these relics is more important than the king himself, who lies in a special garden outside the main structure. Overgrown with foliage and crowned with flowers, he's a symbol of the Forest Kingdom's faded glory. His resting place is overrun by nature, yet there's a dignity to it, as if the forest has reclaimed him. There's history in this place. Every crack in the stone, every piece of rubble covered in moss, every decayed pillar shows us that this place was once alive. It feels both ancient and eternal, as though this kingdom has existed for so long, it's become part of the landscape itself, and it'll never truly disappear. One of the most breathtaking locations in the entire story is the flooded city. This area consists of residential, industrial, and assembly buildings, similar to the city ruins. But what truly sets the flooded city apart is the way that it's been consumed by the ocean. As 9S points out, the entire city is sunk beneath the sea, leaving only a few towers and buildings poking out of the water's surface. The world humans once inhabited has been swallowed by nature, with the ocean serving as its final resting place. This brings us to one of the most beautiful scenes in the entire anime. 9S and 2B, after navigating the ruins, reach the end of the road and take a moment to pause. They sit at the edge of the city, staring out into the endless expanse of water, where only a few structures remain visible. Rays of sunlight break through the clouds, casting a golden glow over the sea. It's quiet, so quiet that as 9S observes, it's as if everything else is gone. And in many ways, it is. The silence represents the aftermath of humanity. The world humans once shaped, the lives they once lived, everything is gone now, leaving behind only peace. In this quiet moment, 9S takes the opportunity to walk into the sea. 2B protests, reminding him that this won't contribute to their mission, that it's an unnecessary use of energy. But 9S doesn't listen. He reflects on how humans used to do this, how they would walk into the ocean, even when it served no practical purpose. And after all, 9S points out, androids were created in the shape of humans. Maybe there's something more to that. Maybe androids can be like humans in ways they haven't yet considered. This moment marks an incredible realization for 9S. His small act of walking into the water, of abandoning his mission, embracing something as simple as a human habit, shows a giant leap forward for android kind. It's not just about completing a mission or following a directive. It's about living, experiencing, making choices for oneself. In this brief moment, 9S and 2B aren't just machines fulfilling their roles. They are beings. Beings who can live for themselves. Finally, 2B gives in and joins 9S in the water. Together, they stand there, absorbing the peaceful world around them. For the first time, they're not defined by their roles as your units. They're not soldiers or tools. They are something more. They are, for just a moment, simply alive. The beauty of Nier Automata stands out because it knows how to balance giving and taking, placing moments of peace and reflection against the constant backdrop of war and survival. These quiet, tender moments hit hard precisely because they're so rare. The anime takes us along with 2B and 9S on their mission, full of battles, teamwork with the resistance, and the ever-present threat of enemy robots. Most of the time, the story is focused on survival, the surface-level struggle to reclaim a world where humans don't even exist. But every now and then, something deeper sneaks in. There are these fleeting moments where both the characters and the audience get a chance to pause, reflect, and feel something more meaningful beyond the constant fighting. Sure, the main plot is about trying to take the world back. Yora fights to restore humanity to Earth. The Resistance fights to defend their home. and Pascal's village just wants peace. But in the end, everyone's stuck in the same reality. They have to fight just to survive, and for most of them, survival is all they can really hope for. Still, there are a few characters who manage to rise above the simple need to survive. 9S is curious and playful, and he becomes a sort of bright spot, showing that there's more to life than just getting by. And he's not the only one. We see it in 6-0, 2B's operator, who dreams of one day seeing Earth's beauty for herself. We see it in Pascal, who tries to create a peaceful community of robots. These characters embody something deeply human, even though they aren't human themselves. They remind us that even in a world torn apart by war, there's still space for beauty, connection, and something more than just constant fighting. What makes these beautiful moments hit even harder is the ongoing tension with the tragedy that surrounds them. The beauty feels fleeting because the characters are always being dragged back into the war that defines their lives. It's the harshness of the world and their existence that makes these brief moments, like 9S walking into the sea, 6-0 dreaming of Earth, or Pascal protecting his village, feel so incredibly precious. Tragedy and beauty are two sides of the same coin. In Nier, beauty is what makes life worth living. It's those fleeting moments that inspire us and push us forward. But tragedy happens when that beauty is ripped away, leaving only loss and sadness in its place. In Nier, beauty is always short-lived, and the tragedy that follows is a harsh reminder of how fragile life and purpose can be. Take 2B, for example. At first, we're led to believe she's just a battle android, dedicated to investigating Earth and fighting machines. But as the story unfolds, we learn her real role isn't what we thought. She's not just a combat unit. She's actually an executioner, known as 2E. This reveal turns everything we thought we knew upside down. The real tragedy isn't just what 2B truly is, but what her mission involves. She's not just there to complete missions. She's there to kill 9S whenever he gets too close to the truth. And to really understand 2B's mission, we have to look at 9S. He's one of the most advanced Yora androids, with incredible hacking and deductive skills. His curiosity makes him dangerous to Yora because he's always trying to learn more about the world around him. He's smart enough to uncover secrets that Yora doesn't want the androids to know, like the fact that humanity has been extinct for a long time. While most other androids just follow orders without question, 9S's constant curiosity brings him closer and closer to the dark truth. Here's where things get even more tragic. Yora's real mission isn't to win the war for humanity. The whole war is just a facade, designed to give the androids a purpose and keep them fighting. The lie that humanity still exists is what keeps the androids going. Without it, they'd lose their entire reason for existing. Yora is built on this illusion, trapping the androids in an endless cycle of conflict, just to maintain their sense of duty. 9S keeps discovering this truth over and over. Every time he gets too close, Yora can't afford to let him keep that knowledge. The system is too fragile, and the lie is too important. If 9S were allowed to spread the truth, it could lead to rebellion, chaos, and the collapse of everything Yora has created. This is the tragedy of 2B. Her real purpose isn't fighting a war, but eliminating the one person who brings beauty into her cold, mission-focused life. 9S is the spark that makes her existence bearable, but the same orders that drive her are what force her to kill him whenever he gets too close to the truth, resetting everything and throwing them back into the same lie they're trapped in. What makes this even more tragic is the futility of her mission. She's programmed to protect Yora's system and preserve the illusion that humanity is still alive. But in doing that, She's destroying the one thing that gives her life meaning, 9S. Every time she kills him, it breaks her down a little more. She's stuck between her duty to the system and her own desires, making each execution not just a physical act, but an emotional death for her too. It starts to make more sense why 2B is so emotionally distant. Her stoic, almost robotic exterior seems like a defense mechanism to protect herself from the emotional pain she feels every time she's forced to reset 9S. She constantly says the mission is all that matters, that emotions are prohibited. But underneath all that loyalty to Yora, there's a desperate wish for the war to end, for peace to finally be possible, maybe even for a future where she and 9S could be together. And this is the core of 2B and 9S's suffering. It's not just that 2B's forced to kill him, it's that by doing so, she's going against the one thing she wants most. A life where they could be free, beyond the war, beyond the mission. But the system doesn't allow that. The war has to go on. The lie has to be kept alive. 2B is caught in a cruel role, both protector and destroyer, bound to a system that uses her loyalty against her. She will never find peace. In many ways, 2B's struggle mirrors the larger tragedy of Yora's mission itself. Yora keeps the war going not to win, but to stop the androids from discovering their own free will, from realizing their purpose is a lie. 2B's personal torment, the endless cycle of killing 9S, reflects the bigger tragedy of all the other androids. They're fighting for a cause that doesn't exist. They're sacrificing everything for a mission that has no real meaning. Everything changes when 2B dies. After the destruction of Yora's orbital station, 2B and 9S are separated, both severely wounded and desperately trying to find each other. But as the world crumbles around them, things go from bad to worse. Enemy units swarm, and 2B gets infected with the logical virus, sealing her fate. Her deterioration is painful to watch as she loses her mobility and sanity while still trying to fight off both machines and her infected comrades. In her final moments, A2 shows up and saves 2B from a fatal attack, but it's too late. 2B knows her end is near and asks A2 to end her suffering. A2 hesitates, but ultimately agrees, delivering the final blow. Just then, 9S arrives at the worst possible moment, witnessing A2 kill 2B. His world completely falls apart. 9S is devastated. The one person who meant everything to him is gone, and he couldn't stop it. His sadness quickly turns into rage. Where 9S was once driven by curiosity and a need to uncover the truth, he now becomes consumed by revenge. A2 becomes the target of his anger, and he vows to kill her for taking 2B away from him. His thirst for vengeance pushes him deeper into isolation, and he loses sight of everything he once stood for. The hopeful, inquisitive 9S is gone, replaced by someone much darker, someone who no longer cares about survival or truth, only destruction. 9S's obsession with revenge takes him over. It disconnects him from everything else. He stops caring about any kind of future. His world narrows down to his present pain and his burning need to destroy Yora's lies, the machines, and eventually, himself. His final confrontation with A2 is the climax of all that rage. By this point, 9S is almost unrecognizable, so blinded by hatred that he's lost all sense of reason and can't even see the larger tragedy unfolding around him. The beauty that once filled his world, the small moments of hope he used to cling to, are all gone. He had once imagined a future where the war would end, where he and 2B could live in peace, maybe even go shopping together. But with 2B's death and the loss of everyone they cared about, that dream is crushed. 21O, his personal operator, sacrificed herself after being infected by the virus. Pascal, who tried so hard to protect his village of robots and their children, failed, and chose death over living with that failure. The resistance was wiped out, overrun by the infection. Even Devila and Papala, the twin androids who had healed so many, don't survive. Every bit of light in 9S's world has been extinguished. By this point, 9S isn't driven by logic or any kind of purpose. There is no mission left. The goal of restoring humanity was never possible in the first place. It was all a lie. But still, 9S feels like he has to kill A2, even though he doesn't really know why anymore. His revenge has become hollow, and he's lost all sense of meaning. Maybe it's his anger and despair, or maybe it's just that there's nothing left, and this final act feels like the only thing he has left to do. The final showdown between 9S and A2 at the top of the tower isn't about victory or survival. It's about closure, even if there's nothing left to close. It's the end of a story where hope has been swallowed by tragedy, and every moment of beauty has been consumed by loss. But why does any of this matter? Why does Nier Automata resonate so deeply with us? At its core, like all great stories, Nier is about the search for meaning. The characters 2B, 9S, A2, the other androids, and even the machines are all struggling to understand their purpose. The androids are told they exist to protect humanity, but then they find out that humanity has been gone for centuries. The machines too are searching for meaning, copying human behaviors, building societies, and even seeking enlightenment. They're all stuck in a world where their supposed purpose is a lie, but they keep searching for something to hold on to anyway. This is what makes the story so relatable. It mirrors the human experience. Just like the androids and machines, a lot of us are constantly searching for meaning in our lives, whether it's through work, relationships, or belief systems, all while grappling with the fact that there might not be any inherent purpose to our existence. The game and anime hit home because they make us confront that uncomfortable truth, that sometimes the search for meaning feels pointless, but we keep searching anyway. The characters in Nier reflect pieces of ourselves: 2B's sense of duty, 9S's curiosity, and A2's rebellion against a world that's betrayed her. They show us the different ways we try to make sense of an absurd, often uncaring world. What makes Nier so powerful is that it doesn't give us easy answers to these existential questions, and that's exactly why it sticks with us. It's like life in that way. We all wrestle with the idea that the things we pursue, our careers, relationships, and beliefs, might be fragile, maybe even meaningless in the grand scheme of things. But despite that, we still hold on to those small, beautiful moments of connection, of triumph, moments of beauty. It's those moments that give us and the androids the strength to keep going. This story is a reflection of the human condition, one that doesn't tie everything up neatly, but instead leaves its questions open for whoever comes next. It suggests that the cycles of suffering and searching are just part of life. The characters' repeated cycles of death and rebirth, their inability to escape their fate, and the emotional toll of endless war and loss all reflect the cyclical nature of human life. It echoes the existentialist idea that we are condemned to be free. The characters in Nier are free in the sense that they have to create their own purpose in a world that doesn't give them one. They're free, but that freedom comes with the heavy responsibility of defining their own meaning. The beautiful, melancholic music is a key part of what makes the game and the anime's emotional weight hit so hard. The score isn't just background noise, it's deeply emotional, perfectly capturing the core themes of loss, hope, and despair. Every note reflects the characters' struggles, their moments of doubt, and the isolation they feel in this vast, mostly empty world. The music swells during tragic moments, quiets down when the characters are reflecting, and moves back and forth between hope and despair, just like the characters themselves. The world of Nier is mostly desolate. Ruined cities, barren wastelands, and the remains of a civilization that once thrived. The landscapes give off this overwhelming sense of abandonment and loneliness. But within these ruins, there are still small moments of beauty, like flowers growing in unexpected places, or sunlight breaking through the clouds. These little moments stand out, offering glimmers of hope and giving the characters reasons to keep going. The anime appears to conclude with ending E from the game, though with a slight variation. After so much loss, this final ending offers a spark of hope. The pods 42 and 153 choose to rebel against their programming and pursue their wishes. In doing so, they give the characters 2B and 9S a chance at a fresh start. It's a powerful moment because it shows that even in a world full of pain and failure, there's still potential for renewal. The pods have become more human, and their decision symbolizes that even when everything feels hopeless, there's always a possibility for something new to begin. After everyone else is gone and dead, including all the pod units, 9S wakes up. And beside him is 2B, and she also wakes up. Now, they're free. This ending sends a message that even if we fall, even if life feels pointless at times, there's always the chance for change, for a new beginning. The choice to keep going, to try again, is what gives meaning to the struggle. Why are we here? What is our purpose? How do we find meaning in a world that seems indifferent to our existence? Nier doesn't provide the answers, but it does portray the struggle itself as valuable. It acknowledges that these questions might not have clear, definitive answers, and yet the act of seeking meaning, the continuous movement forward, is what defines our humanity. How do we know that the struggle is valuable? Well, we don't. Humans, for reasons even we can't fully explain, continue to move forward. Even when the pain outweighs the pleasure, when the odds seem insurmountable, we keep going. Why? Why live knowing that one day we won't exist? Why struggle when in the scope of the universe, our lives are infinitesimal? Our legacies too will fade into obscurity. And even if they didn't, what would that matter after we're gone? These questions represent the greatest enigma of existence. Why do we exist? I don't know. I don't think anyone does. And that's why this story is so powerful. Not because of its incredible soundtrack, its characters, or plot, but because it so accurately depicts the human struggle and the problems that we all face. The problems we learn to overcome ourselves, the ideologies that we discover, the meaning that we assign to ourselves to keep getting out of bed in the morning. Why do you keep moving forward? I don't know the answer you have, but I know my own. It's hope. I may not know for certain why we continue to persevere, but I believe that there is more to life than we fully understand. Even if it's irrational, even if it defies logic and reason, there's a sense that one day it will all mean something. It's this hope, this quiet, almost instinctual belief that pushes us through the pain and uncertainty. It's what drives us forward when all else fails. What keeps us going is not certainty, but the hope that somehow, in some way, it will all mean something.